The purpose of this demo video is to show off our software that we wrote called CritterQuest, and the idea behind this game is to train children to manage their heart rate variability. And so the introductory screen, it just sets background and narrative for the story. Basically, there's the Heartland Woods, and there's some animals in the woods that need help collecting food from the winter. And the idea is that the children can help the animals collect the food with the power of their heart. So the next screen gives some quick tips on basically how to improve your heart rate variability. And the idea is that by using these techniques while playing the game, the kids can improve their heart rate variability and do better in the game itself. And so these tips both show up here, and they're also available in the game as sort of contextual help when the child has some difficulty performing in the heart rate variability task. So the next screen gives the child the option to choose one of three animals. And conducting our background research, we found that this element of choice was very important to kids. And so the most popular animal was the dog. And so for each animal, there's also these three different colors. Clicking one will change the color and show what it would be like to play as that color of animal. What I'm going to do is take the rabbit, and I will be a brown rabbit. The other options we have are beginner, intermediate, advanced, and expert difficulty, and the idea being that the challenge of the game, you can moderate both the difficulty of obtaining the coherence scores, and that's just a measure of how consistent the heart rate is, but you could also mess around with how hard it is to play the game itself. So the intermediate is the default game, and it actually requires very little interaction outside of the heart rate sensor. So all of the gameplay through the beginner and intermediate rounds are driven by the heart rate sensor only. And the advanced and expert allow the users to use the arrow key to control their animals. The advanced has no trees, and as you'll see in a minute, the trees make it kind of harder to see the objectives that they're going for, and the expert has those trees, and that makes it a little harder to find the way through. So I'm going to go ahead and run on intermediate. And so initially there's a short delay while the sensor hooks up, and then once it starts receiving data, the animal begins moving around. So as I mentioned, there are a couple features. First, there's the level of focus. And so right now I'm in low, and that's indicated right here by the red and also the red aura around my rabbit. And so when I'm in low for a while, I get a contextual tip that gives me some suggestions on how to do better. So in this case, it's suggesting I take 5 deep, slow breaths. And so the idea is that by giving the child this help in context, they'll be able to improve and move up to a higher level. So now I've gone up to medium, and you can notice the rabbit is moving a little faster. That's another piece of context we've added. And also he picks up 2 carrots at a time instead of 1. Now he's dropped back into red, he goes back to 1 carrot. And then green, you get a significantly faster rabbit, and the tone of the pickup is a bit higher pitched to sort of also help reinforce that they're in a higher heart rate variance setting. And so now you can see the animal runs around collecting the carrots. And there's also this little sensor, or this little piece of feedback here, which shows how the user's doing in the bucket they're currently in. So there are these low, medium, and high, kind of high-level categories. But there's also some more fine-grained data, and we're giving that feedback back to the user to show if locally they're going up or down from their last reading. So even though I'm still in high, I've been trending a little downward. You can see that sort of showing me these pulses of reduced calm. So if I do that long enough, eventually I'll drop down into one of the lower focus buckets. So you can see we have 58 carrots found, and the time is up. And so now it just goes ahead and totals what was found. And that's it for the game. So in this case, I found 58 carrots, and it will stop at 58.